My name is Joramu Nkumbi. Today is such a privilege, and it is an honor at the same time. Sitting next to me is His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Republic of Uganda here in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. And he is among of the very few people who were in the bush, and they had a reason to do so. So today, I'm going to ask this question to Ambassador of Uganda, retired Colonel Fred Mwesigye. What was the motivation behind for them to go to the bush? They were fighting for something, and we want to know why they went into the bush. Without wasting time, my dear brothers and sisters, fellow Africans and Pan-Africanists, here I am. Sitting next to me is history. You are most welcome. You will introduce yourself and tell us more.
Thank you very much, my dear son and comrade in the struggle. I'm also really humbled and privileged to be seated next to a young and upcoming focused clear leader, and see that we are sharing views about current affairs that may shape the future of Africa.
Absolutely.
First and foremost, as you said, I'm Uganda's High Commissioner to the United Republic of Tanzania for the last 2 years. And I thank God for the gift of life and for giving me this responsibility. And I thank my president, who is a passionate disciple of late Julius Mwalimu Nyerere, and whom I'm his ardent disciple. So, first and foremost, I went to the bush for various reasons. Uganda got independence in 1962. But before 1962, there was a phase of self-rule, which was common in all independent countries as they were attaining independence. 1 year of self-rule to test whether you can govern yourselves or not. Now, in 1861, Uganda was given that test of self-rule. But that phase actually started a time bomb for future conflicts in Uganda. Because in Uganda, the colonists had arranged and subdivided Ugandans in some sections for their benefit. First of all, they created religious divisions, the Catholics and Protestants and Muslims. Then Westerners, white-collar jobs. Northerners, fit to be in the army. Because they would measure your chest and your height and nose, then you are fit to be in the army. They wanted these strong and scaring people, because they were using army as a tool to threaten wananchi. So they planted these seeds of future conflicts. And those conflicts that the British colonialists did not want Catholics in power, but that was their design. To rule Uganda, you must be Protestant. So DP, which was predominantly Catholics, won the elections. So the late Ben Chiwanuka was the first chief minister or the first prime minister of Uganda. But the Protestants and the Kabaka royalists, Kabaka is a king, mfalme wa Uganda huko.
So it means they were using the same rule, divide and rule.
Divide and rule. Yeah. So this UPC, predominantly Protestants, formed or entered into what we call unholy marriage. They formed a joint partnership between Kabaka Yeka, the Baganda, predominantly royalist of Kabaka, and UPC led by Obote. So Obote cleverly tricked Kabaka that he will be the president.
Wow.
And I will be the prime minister. Ordinarily, kings should not involve in political matters. They are respected and they should be above politics. So this Kabaka, who was very popular, was lured by Obote to become the president, but without executive powers. So Obote retained executive powers. So yes, they allied. The Kabaka became ceremonial king, president, but at the same time the king of Buganda.
Wow.
So the man was there, very happy that he has become a president, but without executive powers. The executive powers were retained by Milton Obote. But that marriage did not last long.
Okay.
They started conflicts, fighting for power. And then Kabaka felt uncomfortable, and but he had no powers, and this led to the conflict, direct confrontation, armed confrontation between Kabaka of Buganda and Milton Obote. So Milton Obote deployed his army led by a commander of the forces called Idi Amin. So Idi Amin, in 1964 there, the conflict started in 1964, 65, 66 there. Then Amin attacked the palace of the king of Kabaka. And Kabaka tried to put a resistance, but he was defeated. And he fled and ran into exile. And Obote declared Uganda as a republic, abolished all kingdoms. Uganda had 4 major kingdoms, Buganda being the major kingdom, Ankole, Toro, Bunyoro, and Busoga. These people had a strong kingdom. So he abolished them. All of them, and declared Uganda a republic, and made a constitution.
Wow.
What we call the pigeonhole constitution. It was not discussed. It was simply drafted by some lawyers, headed by the later to be a president, Benaissa. And they put in the pigeonholes of these members. But when they came, they found the constitution in their pigeonholes.
So it means it was not representing
No.
people.
No. It was representing Obote's ideas. And these guys got the constitution, and Uganda became a republic. And that caused another discomfort among Ugandans within the country. So in 1966, of course, there was that crisis. Kabaka is overthrown. Obote declares a republic, imprisons 5 prominent ministers, put them in detention without trial, and conflict was brewing.
Wow.
So another time bomb that Obote planted in Uganda was he appointed Idi Amin as a commander of the army. Amin had not gone to school. He just was in the King's African Air Force, this army which was inherited after independence. They brought this 1 battalion from the King African Rifles. And Obote, although he had trained some young, educated officers who had gone to Sandhurst in Britain, they had in India, Moons in Canada, all these, he had sent some, but he did not trust these young men. He thought they would, because they were somehow
Those
educated.
who were coming from
And
King African
education at that time, what they called the higher education was really senior 4, HSC. They were not university graduates, most of these people.
Wow. Yeah.
But they were HSC leavers, senior 4 leavers, and he sent them these military trainings. So when they came, Obote did not make them commanders of the army. Instead, he promoted Idi Amin and feared this thing that Amin, being uneducated, he wouldn't have political interests.
Yeah, he would be loyal to him.
He would be loyal to him. So that was another time bomb. Then, in 1971, Obote went to attend Commonwealth Conference.
Was it in Singapore?
In Singapore.
Yeah.
Now, Amin overthrows Obote. And he was very welcomed with a lot of enthusiasm by Ugandans, because Obote had created all these conflicts within Ugandans. And as if that was not enough, he had also made another move, what he called move to the left. Obote. Move to the left means he was moving towards communism and socialism. And Ugandans, by nature, believed they were capitalists. So they hated this man who was taking them into communism.
Especially in the Baganda
Kings, yes, so they didn't. So that also caused another hatred for Obote. So all these culminated into Amin overthrowing Obote and receiving popular support. So Amin ruled for 8 years. But within these 8 years, Amin caused a lot of discomfort among Ugandans. He caused a lot of economic decline, social discomfort. But when he overthrows,
when Obote was overthrown,
he came to Kenya, then he came to Tanzania, and eventually went to Zambia. But my president currently, Yoweri Museveni, that day, on 25th of January 1971, when Amin took over power, my president ran into exile. He went on foot, actually, and crossed Tanzania through Karagwe, and came to Tanzania, to Dar es Salaam. So he was never ruled by Amin even for a single day. So Amin ruled Uganda, enjoying
was
that.
Was that the time when he was at the University of Dar es Salaam studying?
No, he had finished. He had finished university already. And he had come and had actually got a job in the government of Uganda, in the president's office as a research officer. So he runs to exile. Obote is in exile. Amin starts killing the Achoris and Langis who were predominantly in the army. Because they are royal threat, because they were royal to Obote. Some run into exile. Majority run into exile. And as if that was not enough, then he starts killing prominent people. He starts killing educated people, rich people. Killing was the order of the day. And later on, he chased away the Indians because he thought that they were taking over, they were in control of Uganda's economy. Okay? So he chased them away. I think this was in 1975 or something like that. He chased them away and took over. He gave them 90 days, by the way,
only 90 days
to get out of Uganda. And they fled to England, they flew to Canada, they went to India. Because most of them were Ugandans, really. They were Ugandans.
Born there, grandparents.
So the British took over most of them. Others went to Canada, others went to India. And so the economy started declining completely declining. Amin gave these shops and hotels to his relatives and friends who had no idea
of how to run
the business. So these guys enjoyed the loot. The shops started running down. They didn't know where to get to get stock. They didn't know where to get stock. Because they had no idea. So the shops completely collapsed. And the economy started collapsing. So Amin, in 1977, killed the Archbishop Jenan Luwum and some 2 other ministers who he suspected were organizing to fight him.
Wow.
And that day, the order of the killing and looting was the order of the day. And that's the time I also ran into exile with some friends. We ran to Kenya.
Oh, were you already in the army?
No. I was a civilian. I was actually doing my private work. I was actually working in government.
Oh.
Okay. So we ran into Kenya. Others ran to Tanzania. Others ran to Zambia. Most of the people were running into exile. So we went into exile, and I want to assure you that there's nothing bad like being a refugee. It's the worst experience I experienced. Knowing that you are not going to go back to your country is the worst. It's a terrible thing. So we stayed in exile. I was lucky. I got a teaching job in one of the schools in Kenya. And we stayed there coordinating.
There was a time also Museven was teaching at certain universities.
Yes, now I'll come to that one. So we started collaborating and coordinating. But earlier on, in 1972, the Ugandan exiles, led by Obote and Museven, made a secret attack without the knowledge of Tanzania government or Mwalimu Nyerere. They sneaked into Uganda and attacked Mbarara and Masaka. They were defeated, and most of them were killed. So President Museveni and others survived. They came back to Tanzania. And that really caused a discomfort between Mwalimu Nyerere and Obote and Museveni. But also the OAU, Organization of African Union, condemned Tanzania. And they formed a committee chaired by the President of Somalia that time. This committee was formed in Mogadishu, and it is known as the Mogadishu Conference. And in that conference, in that meeting, they warned Mwalimu Nyerere not to interfere in the matters of another country.
Wow.
So Mwalimu Nyerere and Tanzania were under the condition of being blamed for supporting exiles, which of course they were not involved, although they were not supporting Idi Amin, but they were not involved in that attack. So that is the time when President Museveni went to Moshi and got a teaching job in the cooperative.
Was
Moshi. It's a university now. There was a friend of his who was also with him in Dar es Salaam University, so organized to get him a teaching job in the Moshi cooperative university. And I've been there. His room where he was staying are still there, written on his name. And he started teaching because there was no more freedom to organize anything. But as God would have it, without any knowledge of anybody, but God planned his mysterious things from nowhere. Idi Amin attacks Tanzania in 1978. In October there, October, November.
The Kagera War.
Yes, what you know as the Kagera War. So Amin attacks Tanzania and occupies the Kagera salient and claims that it's part of Uganda. He kills people, he destroys industries there, he loots cows, of course using his illiterate army, brutalizing people who were innocent really. So it was a surprise to Nyerere and to everybody. But it gave chance, it gave an opportunity for Mwalimu Nyerere to support us who were in exile to get rid of Idi Amin.
Wow.
So Mwalimu Nyerere organized his country to rally behind him. Organized the army, but also organized all exiles. All exiles who were in Tanzania, in Kenya, Zambia, all over the world were called by Mwalimu. And several meetings were held in Dar es Salaam, in Moshi, in Zambia. For us, we were in Nairobi. And we were called. We went to, when young men, we were in Nairobi there, teaching, doing sorts of things.
That was the time you met His Excellency?
Yes, no, His Excellency, we were meeting when he had to come to Nairobi to meet us. Because we had our home where we were staying, and he had to come and meet us, organize us, give us.
You were already connected.
Yeah, we were already connected. Now, when we were called, we were given quick training in Morogoro, in Tabora, and we moved to the border. There were two fighting units. Kikosi Maalum, comprised of Obote's royals, and they were to go. It was called Kikosi Maalum. They were given the Masaka Kampala front. Then Fronasa, headed by Museven, it's called Fronasa, was to go Western. Yeah, we were good terms, of course. We all had a common enemy. We may have had a lot of political differences because there were many conferences to harmonize our political position, political direction under Mwalimu Nyerere. And the last meeting was actually in Moshi, where they sat and made a government in exile. Harmonized all political differences. They appointed a man called Rure to be the president. And the fighting was going on, but also political organization was being organized, political leadership.
A part of that, I read the book, The Mustard Seed, written by His Excellency.
Yes.
He spoke about those things.
Yes, he spoke about those things. So the fighting was going on, but also the political organization was also being organized. So that when the government falls, there is political leadership that takes power, takes control of the country. So Kikosi Maalum, Masaka Front, Kampala, Fronasa under Museven, and of course with TPDF, Western Axis, capture the whole of Western Axis, go to Mbara, go to Fort Potro, and Western Nile. So that was the plan of the war. And originally, Mwalimu did not want to overthrow the government of Uganda. But later on, Amin kept on saying that next I'll capture
Dar es Salaam,
Naivasha, Nakuru, Kenya. So these African leaders really were not sure that if Amin was left, he's not going to take over, attack Kenya like he attacked Tanzania.
But he also mentioned he will come straight to
Yes, he mentioned all this, he gave all these threats. So these people, it gave Mwalimu Nyerere the moral support. Say, look, go, let's get rid of Idi Amin, because we were not sure that if he stays in power, he's not going to continue disturbing us. And he got popular support. So Mwalimu Nyerere supports us. We had prominent commanders like late Msuguri, late Marwa, Nauye. All these were commanders commanding these units to overthrow, with of course Ugandan elements supporting them. And we take over Western Uganda. Chikosi Maalum takes over Masaka, and we continue fighting until we captured Mbarara, until we captured Masaka, Fort Potro, West Nile, and the government is overthrown. On April 11th,
so
1979.
1979. And Obote was restored.
Obote was not restored. So what happened, because of political differences in Uganda, Obote was not restored immediately. Although Mwalimu really wanted Obote. But the other Ugandans did not want Obote because of his mistakes he made.
He was killing.
That led to this crisis. It was because of his mistakes that led to this crisis. And every Uganda knew that. So that conference in Moshi elected the president and all the ministers, and they went when the government was overthrown, they were flown to Kampala and took over. And the president at that time was a professor who had not got involved in any politics of Uganda. So they thought he would bring unity. So this president was installed, Professor Ole, and given all other ministers were appointed, including President Museven was appointed as the Minister of Defense.
I went to the Makerere University and they found a hall.
Yes, yes. So the government is formed, and within the first 68 days, Rure starts developing some tribalistic tendencies. Another mistake. He starts allying with Baganda against other tribes. Say, but we didn't bring you here as Baganda. We had a parliament known as the National Consultative Council, which also was formed in Moshi. So this was acting like a parliament. And this National Consultative Council removes Rule because he had developed tribalistic tendencies, sectarianism, which we had condemned.
And we were fighting to
remove it. So this man developed those tendencies, and he's overthrown after 68 days. So they appoint another leader called Benaisa, who was also in exile. He was a big lawyer, but he's the one who crafted the 1960 to 1964 pigeonhole constitution
of Obote,
which
was not representing
exactly. So Benaisa, to please the bigger community of the Baganda, is appointed the president, and he ruled for some 2 years or something like that. And but he also, when he got power after 1 or 2 years, he started feeling that he can do anything. So he removes President Museven from Minister of Defense to Minister of Regional Cooperation, and moves Oito Jok from Commander of the Army to Ambassador in Algeria. These were two
who were in the forefront
exactly. These were the two guys in the forefront. Okay, Oito Jok was commanding Chikosi Maalum, Museven was commanding from NASA. How do you get rid of us? They overthrow him also. They get rid of him.
He failed to understand
exactly.
They also had followers.
Exactly. They overthrow him.
I think
and Naisa is thrown out, and Uganda, these people form a national unity government, and they formed a military commission. This military commission was headed by Mwanga, a man called Mwanga, who was in Uganda, and they had other leaders like President Museveni, Maruru, and others. So they formed that military commission, and it ruled the government. And it organized elections. Now that's when Obote comes in. So these elections were organized. People were allowed to form parties. Museven formed a party called UPM, Uganda Patriotic Movement.